It's finally done and it's over. I've finished and completed GTA Chinatown Wars. Yep, gonna finally be talking about this one once and for all because this is a game that, for the longest time, immediately was a game that I really was looking forward to playing for a while now, ever since I got to the GTA 4 saddle. And once I found that this was essentially part of the GTA 4 universe, you already know, given that I already played Balligate Tony, Lost in the Dam, I had to check out GTA China Wars itself. Now, honestly, truthfully, when this game first came out back in the late 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, this game was a little bit of a mixed bag for me because I didn't really play at the time. I thought that control wise, I wasn't crazy about it. It felt like a huge step down, or it felt like it wasn't like up to like the standards of the GTA games from back in the day, because it was definitely going to a different direction. But now I can confidently after playing GTA Chinatown Wars, I think that this not only is one of my favorite GTA games of all time now, like every other GTA game out there, but this is clearly a homage to the original Grand Theft Auto 1 game to come out back in its heyday, and to an extent GTA 2 to be specific. So, GTA Chinatown Wars, this is a different type of gameplay that's different from your other gameplays that you know from 3, San Andreas, Vice City, etc., where it's a top down game view, clearly paying homage to, again, the OG GTA games. So, right off the bat, that was like a huge turn off for me back when I first heard about this. But playing this in this context, I actually felt really hooked and lost in the world of Chinatown Wars itself, and it felt really good to see like a different perspective of the GTA format that I come to know and love in this game. And before we dive deep into the story, the lore itself, I guess we'll start with like the obvious ones, the mechanics. The mechanics in this game are really good. They can be a little bit like clunky at times, but with a little bit of some like nice little adaptations and just straight up like getting used to the game as you like kind of play around, experiment with different tech here and there, you're going to get a lot of things done. So I guess we'll start with like the easier things out of the way. The cars in this game are pretty good, pretty standard. It kind of reminds me of GTA Advance to a degree with its like driving mechanics, but at least this time around, the driving mechanics in this game isn't super clunky and terrible, where it feels a lot more balanced this time around. Motorcycles in this game are super fast. Boats in this game are also ridiculously fast. The trucks are like the slowest vehicles you can get in the game. And then the weapon system. The weapon system in this game is, I gotta say, so far, between playing this and playing GTA Liberty City Stories, which was like prequels in their own right, Chinatown Wars weapon system is ridiculously broken. Like, I don't know how to tell you this, but like there are weapons in this game that are just so out there unique, from miniguns to a rocket launcher. You can use dual pistols, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the only game that has you utilizing dual pistols as like an upgraded version of your pistols, different SMGs, etc. And also be prepared to use the SMG tons and tons of times, because that's going to be your best friend. And every time you pass a mission, the SMGs tends to drop every so often. So there's that. And then let's go into, I guess, the money making the system, which I really want to highlight. So in the past GTA games, I always briefly mentioned the money making system in past GTA games because it's like, it's pretty easy. Why fucking not? But GTA Child Wars' case of making money is so creative and really easy to deal with that the best way to make money is not only completing missions, but the game really emphasizes you to sell drugs. I'm not even shitting you. There is a drug selling system in the game where you actually realistically could hit like the millions if you have to by just selling drugs and timing your buying and your selling and such. And in the game, it gives you like some really good insight, like, okay, which seller is willing to buy certain items for a hefty price, and which sellers are willing to sell out certain items for a really cheap price so you can sell a big later on. And again, I think that's what it emphasizes, that you really have to learn how to make your money scheme real fast, real quick, because at the end of the day, when you play through the story missions, they don't really give you a lot of money. Most of the time, they only give you like $200 to $500 per mission, if not, yeah, not even that. Probably just drugs in general as your reward. And Furthermore, I gotta say, if we're talking about the interactions with this game, there are so many interactive moments in this game where you get to, again, like, there are tons of different ways to hotwire cars, which are really creative, that I really like. There's also different, like, game mechanics where you get to tow a truck, you get to drive a boat, start up a boat in certain missions, and then there's also moments where, like, you have to, like, detect certain things and go at like using a sonar. Again, the game itself is really creative with its mechanics, and I can see why not only was this released for the PSP, but this was released for the Nintendo DS itself. So again, between the two platforms, to get those out of the way, I think you can get a lot of bang for your buck if you play the PSP version, because the reason I chose this over the DS version is because there's actually five additional missions in this game more than the DS version. And while the DS version does make it more interactive with its system, the PSP version just has a lot more content, a lot more flesh to the bones, and I think it does enhance the story quite a bit. And then the story. The story of Chinatown Wars is, in my view, one of the most underrated stories out there in all of GTA games now. I'm not even joking. I think that this is a really underrated story and a forthcoming of our main character that you play as Huang Lee. And for the first time ever, I'm going to display pictures of this because, again, in this game, there's no voice acting. You're only seeing like still images and shots of these characters. And right away from Huang Lee's character, you can instantly tell that the art design for this game is so incredible. It feels like a comic book coming into real life, if that makes sense. Like, it feels so creative for its time. And while, yes, you can argue that maybe there should have been some voice acting in this, I think that this was clearly, again, another reason why they had to pay homage to the original GTA game from back in the day. So, again, Hong Lee, he is simply the protagonist that you control. He is here for one purpose and one purpose only. He came to Liberty City to find out who killed his father and deliver the sword to its rightful owner, the next head of Triads. But in the wake of this, he gets a hit sent out on him, and he supposedly dies and gets thrown into the car, and the sword itself gets stolen by a bunch of mobsters that was never named. And right off the bat at the beginning of the game, your first mechanic you have to do is just kick yourself out of the car window to swim to freedom. That's literally the first thing you do, and instantaneously, um, Hong Lee's story is one that is like, at the end of the day, this is a dude that just is simply like trying to focus on one thing only, which is to get revenge on the person that killed his father and find the sword and return to its rightful owner. Those are the two things. And yet, throughout this journey, he goes through so many speed bumps and hurdles and comes across some really crazy and zany characters that really make up the Chinatown Wars lore itself. And one of the early game protagonists you come to meet really early is a character named Ling Shan, who at one point you would think that this character is going to be here forever. Like, she's clearly in the poster of the game. You know where she is. She's plastered everywhere, right? But no. So, spoiler alert. Immediately within like the first few missions, after you complete the first two three missions, she instantly dies. Like, holy shit! Like, instantly you're kind of knowing, like, okay, shit's about to get real fast, and the characters that you thought you were going to interact with are instantly killed off, and the story completely shifts into a different direction that you didn't expect coming. And that's pretty much what you get throughout this whole game, is that as you're playing through this game, you're pretty much finding out and guessing the who is Huang's father, who stole the sword, and why were they doing all this in the first place to for the rise of the Triads gang and such. And I want to point out like a lot of highlights here and there, but like, again, you come across some pretty key figures like Uncle Kenny, as he's described, or Wu Kenny, if I'm not mistaken. There's also one of my favorite characters in the game at the moment, and probably one of my favorite antagonists of any GTA game at the moment, and that's Zhu Ming. Where, holy shit, Zhu's character in this game, he comes across as like really narcissistic, unpredictable, but god damn it, he's such a badass for the sake of being a badass. And the way he goes out with a goddamn bang. Like legitimately goes out with a fucking bang. He's so good of a character. There's also another character here with Chan in the mix that I would also like to shout out because like he was a character in this game that at one point I didn't really like and appreciate, but over time, especially towards the very end, you kind of felt bad for the guy and really wished like man, I really wish he actually was sticking around, you know. But shoot, it is what it is, you know. And again, like from beginning to end, this story keeps you really hooked and really keeps you guessing like who stole the sword, who was Hong's father's killer. And towards the very end, once you get the full realization, it all comes hanging back at you all the way to where, holy shit, it actually ties everything up so well that I actually was like, oh, like jaw dropped for the first time once I finally finished this game. And it's really good. It's really incredible of a game. And now, despite that, though, I have to say this is where we get into the things that I honestly didn't like about the game. So first and foremost, I'll start with like a character in this game. There's a character in this game that you come across like pretty late into the tail end of this, named Lester. And no, we're not talking about Lester from GTA 5, first and foremost. A completely different version of Lester. I forgot what his last name is at this point, but Lester is someone that you come across where he's supposed to help you like find out who the rat is that's like snitching the triads group and shit. And Lester is easily my least favorite character in this game because he just comes off as really weird and at times he can be like, man, I'm kind of doing your dirty work and I'm not getting much out of it. That makes sense. But hey, and at the end of the day, he seems like a pretty cool dude. But the fact that he has to disguise himself as a biker gang to figure out who's the rat in the first place is pretty weird, honestly. And then to go into like the GTA Chinatown Wars mechanics in the game, not every mechanic in this game is perfect. First and foremost, there is like a specific like moment where when you're trying to hotwire a car, for example, there's one mechanic in the hot wiring mechanics that I absolutely did not like, which was where you plug in your phone, then you have a bunch of numbers displaying on screen, and the way you're supposed to do is you're supposed to time the numbers down in order to hotwire the car successfully without alerting the authorities. Honestly, I didn't like that much because it was cool. I get that it was like another little different mini game to like hotwire a car, but that was just like man, super fucking annoying. And if you didn't like actually like hit it timely wise, because you can miss timing super badly when you hotwire a car of this caliber, you're basically screwed and you end up alerting the authorities. Now, when it comes to police chases, wanted levels, I like that. I thought that was a really creative way of doing it in this game. I do think, however, the one key issue with this is that in order to reduce your star levels or reduce your wanted level, there's now a mechanic in this game where you have to, like, you will see cop cars display on your screen with the star wanted level, and the way to reduce your wanted level is you have to hit the cop cars to the point where they're disabled and they can't drive no more. So there were moments where like I was able to hit that successfully, but then when it comes to like when there's missions where it leads you to a 3-star one level, it becomes super hard to do it, especially when you realize that like at a 3-star one level, you already have the choppers on the roof and they're shooting down at you point blank. Period. Like what the fuck is this, man? Like, geez, the 3-star one level is just absurdly hard. I think it's probably harder than 4-star one level in this game, if I'm not mistaken. But that's just me personally, truthfully. And then one of my least favorite mechanics in this game, which is pretty goddamn apparent, the swimming mechanics, the water mechanics, anything regarding a boat mechanic. So again, the swimming mechanics is fine, but like when you're driving a boat on certain missions, it becomes really hard to control. And remember that one mechanic where I said you have to start up a boat? Yeah, there's a mission where you have to like evade authorities while you have to like start tuning up a boat, and it happens every so often. Where it's like, oh shit, you have to like crank the shit up and make sure that you drive away safe and sound and lose the authorities. And that mission sucked ass. I hate it. I absolutely fucking despise it. There's even another mission where you have to like destroy a drug boat, and you have to avoid these landmines that's plastered out the sea. The problem is the boat itself is so hard to goddamn turn that like you really have to like time your turning properly. And but sometimes if you don't time it, you end up hitting the landmine and you're basically screwed. So I actually hate just any mission that involved like driving a boat in this game because it was just so painful in my opinion. And I guess the last little nitpick I'll say is that there are moments in the mission where it can be a bit much, where especially there's like one mission where you have to defeat the final boss of their whole group, where someone may have a minigun or a rocket launcher. The only way to beat those enemies half the time wouldn't be using your actual weapons. You have to just use grenades or like a Molotov cocktail and just hope that it hits the enemy so it stuns them long enough so you can shoot them point blank in the face. And I think that's all I gotta say about the issues with this game, because I mean, outside like the fact that yes, the top down camera view may not be for everybody, which again was a massive complaint for me back then, which now I don't really feel that complaint now playing this game. I understand that that's going to be another huge complaint for some, where it's like, oh man, I wish it was like how it was with GTA 4 and 3 and Vice City and San Andreas. And I get that criticism, but given that they were trying something out a little bit fresh spanking new, clearly trying to pay homage to a game that they are so used to making back in the day, I mean, I think they aced it with this one. I think that this is the perfected version of what GTA Advance should have been. And like I said, I hate GTA Advance. It was so terrible. But GTA Chinatown Wars feels like they perfected the craft of what they were known for, and this is like the fullest that a game of this caliber can reach, in my opinion. So again, GTA Chinatown Wars is a must play. I think that for me now playing this game, I can see that this is like the prequel to everything that has happened before the events of GTA 4. And I think that this is a game to check out, that you should really like expand your GTA horizons if you're so used to the modern day GTA games you come to know and love, because again, this is surprisingly a lot more content to play. You can't. This is also one of the games that I've heard you can easily 100% GTA on, and it's fun. There's so much little details you can do, like past the point where you beat the missions, and overall, this game is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. Would it be like in my top maybe three GTA games of all time? Sadly, no. But I think with a little bit more like thinking in the tank, this definitely is at least like maybe borderline top five best GTA games of all time for me now, in my opinion. And again, it's honestly really crazy that like this was a game at one point I just didn't want to play because of the huge camera angle issue, and now here I am just saying like, man, this game's incredible. Please go give it a shot, man. It's a must play. And yeah, just wanted to simply talk about GTA Chinatown Wars, and now I have to move on to playing either this bad boy or maybe another classic GTA game that you all may know already at this point. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you on the next one. Later.